Hey everybody, this is Robbins with Corolla Light Resort, bringing you Volume 5 of Golf Talk with Robbins. Before I get into this episode's discussion, I do want to take the time to introduce our guests. The first young lady on the left is Miss Boozie Martin, who is quite the competitive and successful tennis player. Most of Miss Martin's successes in tennis came in doubles, where she qualified into several national tournaments, and at one time she and her partner were ranked number 1 in the Mid-Atlantic. Although Miss Martin is an exceptional tennis player, she might even be a better runner. She ran in many 10Ks and half marathons, winning or finishing in the top 5 in most of her events. Young lady on the right is Miss Martin's favorite tennis player of all time, the one and only Steffi Graf. Steffi Graf, I could spend days talking about her resume, but I'll wrap it up real quickly by saying she won 87% of her tennis matches. That's pretty incredible. The third guest of this video is Julie Inkster, who is obviously not pictured, but will be shortly. Miss Inkster is in the LPGA Hall of Fame and has 31 LPGA Tour victories. Okay, let's go into this week's discussion, which is ball positioning and playing from behind the ball. I'm going to start out the discussion by drawing a line straight up from the golf ball, 90 degrees from the ground. We're going to take a look at Miss Martin's setup and her ball position. If you'll notice, the ball appears to be directly underneath her head, which some can get away with. I believe it's a little easier, and I'm going to illustrate why. If we have the golf ball position, let's get that line out. We had the golf ball position just off of our left ear. So Miss Martin and I spent a little bit of time talking about ball positioning and trying to get used to swinging the golf club with the golf ball positioned off of our left ear. I'm now going to take that line out and put the line that I had up originally, and we're going to put Miss Martin's golf swing into motion. And what I really want you to pay attention to is her head and where it is at impact. You can see Miss Martin's head is clearly out in front of the golf ball at impact. Her entire core is out in front of the golf ball at impact. If we think of this in terms of tennis, when we make contact with the ball behind our core, if we've let the tennis ball pass our head at impact, the tendency will be to hit the tennis ball out to the right, much like it is in the golf swing. Excuse me. We're now going to put Steffi Graf into motion. I'm going to first of all put a line straight down from, and I apologize for the audio, the technology has changed quite a bit over the years. You can obviously see on Steffi Graf's serve, her head is clearly behind the ball. And let her finish. She's going to play 4 points, and you'll notice at impact her head, her core, her body is behind the ball. If you look at where her feet are in reference to the back line, she is clearly behind the ball at impact. Again, on the third point, her feet are on the back line, and she appears to me to be behind the ball. On to the fourth shot. Shot that wins the point. You can obviously see all four shots played, her body, her head are certainly behind the ball. Okay, now what does this mean in a golf swing? I'm now on the right going to put Miss Julie Inkster. And I'm going to draw a line straight up from the golf ball. And you'll notice how Miss Inkster has started her golf swing. In her addressed position, the golf ball is in front of her head. And I'm going to put it into motion. And you can clearly see how her core and her head are behind the line at impact. Her head stays behind the line for the majority of her golf swing. So two things we need to work on with Miss Boozie's golf swing. Number one, ball position. I believe it's much easier to stay behind the golf ball at impact if we start out with our head behind the golf ball. I know some of you stack and tilt people are going to disagree with me, but that's okay. I believe that if we start off with our head behind the golf ball, it's much easier to be behind the golf ball at impact. And we can certainly understand the importance of this, because once we've gotten out in front of the golf ball at impact, the golf ball will tend to start to the right, unless we make extra moves in our golf swing, which is the last thing we want to do. So volume 5, pay very close attention to your ball position and understand that we're trying to stay behind the golf ball at impact. If you have any questions, any concerns, if you'd like to get in contact with me, please feel free to do so. My contact information is down below. That's all I have for this episode. And see you guys for volume 6.